Right. Grade 7, lesson number 2. Exercise 2.1. Right. First question. Place a correct mark next to each of the expressions which clearly define a set and a cross mark next to those which do not clearly define a set. Statement number 1. Those who obtain more than 100 marks in the grade 5 scholarship examination held in 2013. That set we can clearly define the elements. අපිට පැහැදිලිව මේ elements වල තෝරා ගන්න පුළුවන්. So the first statement is correct. Second statement, talented singers. එතකොට මෙහෙම set එකක elements අපිට ලියන්න කිව්වොත්, if we have been given a statement like this and write down the or list down the elements, it will be somewhat harder for us. Right? If we take two people, right? හිතන්න මෙහෙම Amila and Indika. Now these are two people, no? So a talented singer that comes to mind to Amila will be different. Sometimes it might be different from Indika. ඒ කියන්නේ අමිල හිතනවා මෙන්න මෙයා තමයි මට නම් ටැලන්ටඩ් සිංගර් කෙනෙක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි ඉන්දික කියනවා ඉන්දිකගේ එහෙම වෙන්න බැරි වෙන්න පුළුවන්. එයාගේ ඔළුවට එන ටැලන්ටඩ් සිංගර් වෙන කෙනෙක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. අන්න එතකොට පොඩි ප්‍රශ්නයක් එනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? අපිට හරියට උත්තරයක් දී ගන්න බෑ. That means what? We cannot clearly define. That means we cannot say for sure the elements of this set. එහෙනම් second statement එක වැරදි. Part 3. Districts of Sri Lanka. Right? We can clearly define. We exactly know the answer. Right. Part 4. Numbers between 0 and 50 which are multiples of part 4. Beautiful flowers. So that is also the same thing as statement number 2. හරි එතකොට අපිට ඒකේ set එකේ elements define කරන්න බෑ. We cannot clearly define the elements. හරියටම උත්තරයක් දෙන්න බෑ. Part 5. Numbers between 0 and 50 which are multiples of 6. Right? So that statement is correct. We can clearly define. ඒ කියන්නේ අපිට හරියටම උත්තරයක් දෙන්න පුළුවන්. Okay. Statement number 6. People who are fortunate. Right? So that statement also we cannot clearly define. Okay, so from that we come to the end of exercise 2.1. Exercise 2.2. Question number 1. Part A. Express each of the following sets by writing all the elements of each set within curly brackets. Okay. So under part A, part 1, A equals within brackets days of the week. So what are the elements? A equals Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Right? So those are the elements of set A. Okay. Then part 2, prime numbers between 0 and 10. Prime numbers between 0 and n. So that is set B. Right? So we know what are prime numbers. Pratamaka Sankhya. Right? So prime numbers are what? Numbers that only have two factors. Right? So prime numbers between 0 and 10. So what are the elements? 2, 3, 5, 7. 2, 3, 5 and 7. Under that part 3. Multiples of 4 between 0 and 25. Multiples of 4 between 0 and 25. So that is set C. Multiples of 4 between 0 and 25. So what are the answers? 4, 8, 12, 16, 20 and 24. So how many elements are there? 6 elements are there. Right. Exercise 2.2. Question number 1. Simple A. Under that, part 4. Capital D is equal to, within brackets, letters of the word diagram. So we will write the word diagram. So the set name is what? Capital D. So this is equal to what? Open curly brackets. D, I, then A, then G, then R, then we can't write A again. We can't repeat elements. Then M. Okay. Part 5. Capital E, within brackets, districts of the Western Province. Right. So what are those? So this is capital E. So Colombo, Gampaha and Kalutara. Right? Open and close brackets. Part 6. What do we have? Digits of the number 21,412. So we write the number 21,412. Right? So this is capital F. Okay? So open brackets. So 2, then 1, then 4. 1 and 2 again we can't write. We can't repeat elements. Right? So these are the only elements. Part 7. Capital G. So that is what? Within brackets, multiples of 6 from 1 to 6. Multiples of 6 from 1 to 6. So we know first multiple of 6 is what? 6. Second multiple of 6 is what? 12. So multiples of 6 from 1 to 6. That means what? What is the only element? 6. That is the only number that is within the range. Right? So this is capital G. So it is equal to what? 6. For the sets defined above, state whether the following statements are true or false. Right? So that is B. Under that part 1. Saturday is an element of A. So if you look back at the answer, we know that is true. So part 1, that is true. Right? Then statement 2. Simple P is an element of D. Simple P is not an element, no? Right? So part 2, we know that is false. Right? All the elements of C are even numbers. If you check it, you know the statement is true. Hari, අපි පොඩ්ඩක් බලමු මොකක්ද C කියලා කියන්නේ කියලා. What is C? Multiples of 4 between 0 and 25. Right? So if we take C, what are the elements? 4, 8, 12, 16, 20 and 24. එතකොට දැන් අපෙන් කියන්නේ මොකක්ද? All the elements of C are even numbers. So that is true. Right? So part 3, that is true. Okay. Any multiple of 3 from 1 to 10 is an element of G. Any multiple of 3 from 1 to 10 is an element of G. So that is also true. Right? Why? අපි මේ statement එක ගමු. So we are talking about multiples of 3. So I'm talking about the fourth statement. So multiples of 3, okay, from 1 to 10 is an element of G. අපි මෙයාගේ elements ටික නිකන් ලියමු බලන්න. හරි අපි දෙමු නිකන් Z කියලා නමක් දීලා මෙයාගේ elements ටික ලියමු බලන්න. Multiples of 3 between 1 and 10. So what are the elements? 3, 6 and 9. මේ statement එකේ මොකක්ද කියන්නේ? Any multiple of 3 from 1 to 10 is an element of G. එතකොට 6 තියෙනවනේ. So that is also true. Right? So the fourth statement is also true. Question number 2. Express each of the following sets in a different form by writing all the elements of each set within curly brackets. Represent each of these sets by a Venn diagram too. First set, which is P, equals prime numbers less than 10. Okay? So prime numbers, api meka kale liuwa. So P is equal to what? 2, 3, 5 and 7. Okay? Then we have to represent that using what? Venn diagram also. Hari? දෙවිදිහටම කරන්න ඕන. Right? So we have to draw a circle. So we have to write the elements within the circle. දැන් මේ Venn diagram එකෙන් දානකොට comma notation එක දාන්න ඕනේ නැහැ, comma separation නේ. Right? Then we have to name the set. So here it is P. Hari? Set එකේ නම P. Then the next one, part 2, we have Q, colors of the rainbow. Colors of the rainbow, right? So Q equals what? How do we remind ourselves, about colors of the rainbow? We use the term Vibjor, no? සමහරවිට ඔයාලා මේක දන්නවා ඇති Vibjor. So V stand for violet, I stand for indigo, right? B stand for blue, G stand for green, Y stand for yellow, O for orange, R for red. So those are the colors of the rainbow. How many colors are there? 7 colors are there. Right? Then we have to represent these colors using a Venn diagram. So I will rewrite them again. So we have violet, indigo, right? Then blue. Then we have green. Then we have yellow. Then we have orange. Then we have red. මෙතන order එකක් තියෙන්න අවශ්‍ය නැහැ, right? Then we have to circle it. You have to circle it, draw a circle, right? Then we have to name it. So this is Q. අමනම් මතක තියාගන්න when we are naming the set, right? We have to use an arrowhead. So we have to use an arrow. So the head of the arrow should be pointing the circle. Third one. Letters of the word number. Okay. So R equals, what is the word? Number. Okay. So what are the elements? N, U, M, B, E, R. Okay. So now we have to represent that using Venn diagram. So N, U, M, B, E, R. Then draw a circle and name it R. Okay. Question number 2, part 4. So what do we have to write? Whole numbers between 0 and 7. So we have to write whole numbers between 0 and 7. Right? So what is the name of the set? It is S. S equals, so 0, that is not a whole number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have to write the elements between 0 and 7. So we cannot take 7 as an answer. Now we have to represent this using a Venn diagram. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Then we have to name it S. Part 5. T equals districts of the southern province. Okay. So what are the districts of southern province? Galle, Matara and Hambantota, right? So what is the name of the set? T. So T equals Galle, Matara and Hambantota. Galle, Matara and Hambantota. So that is southern province. So now we have to represent this using a Venn diagram. So Galle, Mathara and Hambantota. Right? So draw a circle, right? Then name it T. Okay, so that is the end of question number 2. Okay, question number 3. K equals within brackets 4, 8, 12, 16 and 20. Part 1. Represent the set K by a Venn diagram. Okay, so what do we have to do? Draw a circle. Then just write down the elements. 4, 8, 12, 16 and 20. Then don't forget, we have to name it. So the name of the set is what? K. 4, 8, 20, 12 and 16. So that is part 1. So this is part 1. Question number 3, part 1. Then part 2. Write down the set K in terms of a common property of its elements by which the elements can be clearly identified. Right. So that means what? They are asking to give us a name. That means a descriptive method. Right. So if we take a look at the elements, what are these? So we can say this is part 2. So these are some possible answers. K equals, we can say multiples of 4. Multiples of 4. So that is correct. To be somewhat specific, other than this, we can write what? How many multiples of 4 are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? So we can say first 5 multiples of 4. Question number 4. The set X has been represented by a Venn diagram here. Okay. So we will write it. X. So this is a Venn diagram. So there are some letters. How many elements are there? 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right. Under that, part 1. Express a set X in a different form by writing the elements of X within curly brackets. Right. So what is that? Listing of elements, no? Right. So X equals curly brackets A, E, I, O, U. Then part 2. Write down the set X in terms of a common property of its elements by which the elements can be clearly identified. So how can we do that? What is the name? Vowels of English alphabet. So X equals vowels of English alphabet. Vowels of English alphabet. Question number 5. Represent the set of multiples of 5 between 6 and 25. Part 1. By writing down a common property by which the elements of the set can be clearly identified. Right. So represent the set of multiples of 5 between 6 and 25. Right. So part 1. They are asking to use a descriptive method, no? So what is the name of the set? Method set එකට පාවිච්චි කරන්න ඕන නමක් අපිට දීලා නැහැ අපිට කැමති නමක් පාවිච්චි කරන්න පුළුවන්. So I will use C. So C equals what? Multiples of 5 between 6 and 25. Right? So multiples of 5 between 6 and 25. So that is correct. We have to use the descriptive method. Okay. Part 2. By writing all the elements of the set within curly brackets. So that is what? Listing of elements. So C equals listing of elements. Multiples of 5 between 6 and 25. Then 10, 15 and 20. We cannot use 25. 6 and 25, no, between 6 and 25. එතකොට 6 කොහොමටත් එන්නේ නැහැ. 25 අපිට ගන්න බෑ. Right. Part 3 by a Venn diagram. Alright. So what do we have to do? So I will do part 3 here. So draw a circle. Right. So 10, 15 and 20. So we have used the letter C here. So this is C.